What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. This is going to be a video for me to share my thoughts of what's been going on around the recent news on Roger Waters talking about for a bit of Ozzy Osbourne and his comments on Black Sabbath. I wasn't originally going to be doing a video about this, but I know some of you guys, or one of you guys, would be asking what are my thoughts are on this. So I just want to get it out of the way. I will not go on about it for as much of the time that I have because, to tell you the truth, it's nothing that completely different and new from what Roger Waters decided to open his mouth and rant about this or that. As Pink Floyd are still one of my 10 favourite bands of all time, most of the time I don't care what Roger Waters, in the personality part of him, I don't care what he says. I find it really funny because the night before the articles decide to come up in front of our faces, I was listening to Pink Floyd's concept album of The Wall. So when these news articles decided to come up, I knew a lot of people would be attracting their attention to be increasing their negativity. He was interviewed with the Independent Inc. podcast, talking about how pop culture figures can distract people from important political issues, which is totally fine. There are loads of musicians and people who are in the celebrity, iconic, attracted people of superstardom. And yet, obviously, there are even more life-scarring, dangerous, violent acts going around the world at the same time. And we know that Roger Waters had been a progressive and aggressively continuing political activist pretty much when he was in Pink Floyd. He says, and I quote, "How can we push this to one side? I know how to do it. We'll do it with Taylor Swift or Bubblegum or Kim Kardashian's bum," which I find that bit pretty funny, to be honest. But then the interviewer brought up the name of Ozzy Osbourne. And I'll have to read it out. Obviously you guys know, but for those who haven't, I'll just read it out loud. And I quote, or Ozzy Osbourne, who just died, bless him, in his whatever that state that he was in his whole life, will never know. Although he was all over the TV for hundreds of years with his idiocy and nonsense, he decides to carry on for a bit, saying, "The music, I have no idea. I couldn't give a fuck. I don't care about Black Sabbath. I never did. I have no interest in it." Wah! Sticking his tongue out and doing an impression. Biting the heads off chickens or whatever they do. I couldn't care less. I am as much of a big fan of Black Sabbath and Ozzy as much as you guys. And like I said, I love Pink Floyd. But after what Roger said just then, that does not make me not become a fan of Pink Floyd anymore. I'll still listen to them. I am a fanatic of Black Sabbath. I will still listen to them and continue to admire them as much as Ozzy as a solo artist. In an opinion way, he's not a fan of Black Sabbath, and he's ranted on about different bands like with AC/DC and U2 and musicians like Eddie Van Halen. That's fine. It's an opinion to not overreact to. Music is obviously subjective. He never liked anything that's so in your face and loud and distorted through the styles of heavy hard rock and heavy metal. That I never had a problem with. But at least you have to respect the legacies of how much these bands and musicians have made such a big impact for anybody. To say that he couldn't care less about Ozzy Osbourne after he just passed away over a month ago, I do find that to be so scathing. It's disgusting. And that's when we saw the post from Jack Osbourne with his aggressive behaviour, slamming Roger, and to which then less than 24 hours later, I believe, Kelly Osbourne decided to respond by just sharing what Jack's rant was. I don't blame her for, because it is such a heartless way of reacting. I bet Roger will never apologise about that comment. He just decided to, say it without really thinking about it. It's fine that you are not a fan of a band or a musician that everybody else loves. No matter how many times he has opened his mouth with his views on this or that politically, but with the other artists that have been as popular and as influential, like Pink Floyd and Roger Waters as a solo artist, you can just take it for what you will. I think there was the jealousy from Roger, because obviously Ozzy Osbourne has been one of the biggest, most celebrated, iconic solo artists ever. He still makes millions of albums sold even when he passed away. It's the same things with David Bowie and Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. Those iconic and as influential musicians, their legacy continues to grow, and Ozzy's is no exception. Ozzy Osbourne has been pretty much one of the ultimate top icons, and his solo career is still gigantic in popularity. I do find it so unfortunate that even if you are a solo artist who has made as much of the effort and as much of the art to say these ungrateful and unbearable reactions, to think about Ozzy in these words, it's no surprise whatsoever that the hate has been spreading endlessly for now. I like Roger Waters as a musician through his own way of thinking, but obviously the personality of a musician is completely different. I'm not one of those people who did decide to take this very, very seriously and to overreact. But even if you have been hating on Roger's comments, I don't blame you guys. I just didn't want to be bothered to join in this internet mob of people ranting on. With that being said, guys, that's all I would like to say. Let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. I am just as disappointed and not happy by Roger's comments, but I am glad in a way that I didn't join in with everybody else to escalate more of the brutal amount of negativity, because really now is the time to just enjoy what you prefer to do, just to listen to music. A comment that, yes, has been such a brutal target to disregard and dehumanize the legacy of a legend, but there's more time in our lives to enjoy what we have, rather than to always think about things we hate. Keep listening to music and still admire the bands and artists you continue to love. Thank you guys for watching, and I will keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.